Hey now, everybody. Welcome back. Oh, boys and girls. Whoa, 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 oh, wow! I'm getting an echo version. This is very cool. All right, what's up, everybody? What's up? September 11th. Never forget. Never forget. 21 years later. But we're going to talk a little Sharks. But as always, hit us up on the social media. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, you know what it is. So we're gonna leave Jerk in there because we love Jerk. Jerk is the shit. So we always keep him up in here. Oh, Ian, it's been something.
In a bit.
It, it's been a bit, but it's been a really, shall we say, interesting summer for the Sharks.
Yeah, I would concur.
Little bit. Over the summer. Well, let's just start from the newest, which is it's been reported Casey saying that Jumbo back in the Bay Area, spotted at Sharks Ice. He's skating with the boys. He's chatting with the front office people. Is a new position on the horizon with the organization?
And by Casey, you mean Corey, of course.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
I mean, potentially. I don't know. I don't really care. Like, it's funny, right? Because like when the GM search was happening, like we all were mocking the Sharks for like, oh, this guy was on there, but if you look at their hockey DB, they have no connection to the Sharks, so clearly they're not a candidate, right? And everyone was like super up in arms about like how like if they had Sharks ties, like they all had to have Sharks ties. But then like when a name like Marlowe and Thornton comes up, like, oh my God, we need them to coach the team right now.
And Nabby as well, right?
Well, Nabby is the goalie coach, so he does.
No, he
does
needs to be
have
the
a
head
job. He does
coach.
work. Oh, I don't know. Maybe
He needs to go full Patrick Waugh.
I don't know. Like, so like I don't. I mean, if the Sharks found a job for Joe Thornton at this point in his career that doesn't involve being on the ice, although. I mean, with some of the guys they've signed, I think Joe Thornton could definitely slot in ahead of them.
You're not wrong,
I don't
sir.
really
You're not
care.
wrong.
Like, I don't really care, right? Like, if he has a job in the organization, that's fine. I can't sit here and mock the Sharks for looking for former Sharks to fill all these positions and then, be like, oh, Joe Thornton's going to be in the organization. That's awesome. And I love Joe Thornton. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But I don't care.
Well, I mean, I would think that, I mean, it's like, okay, if he's already moved back and, he brought the wife and kids and blah, blah, blah. He's talking to the front office.
Yeah.
Front office position, probably eminent. And what comes along with that? Retirement. So perhaps sometime during this season, there will be some sort of official announcement. But we'll see. We're definitely not going to dump on the Patty Parade that will be happening on February 25th of 23 versus Chicago. I think versus Toronto would have been a little bit more apropos, but it is what it
versus
is.
Carolina.
Oh, dude. Opening night. That would have been great. Oh, but then that would have dumped on the Burns return. So, but how do you not do it? Either Chicago or, I don't know, Pittsburgh? Maybe? I don't know. Or, I'm sorry, Toronto.
Toronto or Pittsburgh?
So, yeah. Come on.
I mean, Hurricanes legend, Patrick Marleau.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it's weird. It's weird how everything that they're doing this season seems to be against Chicago. It's like, okay, Chicago's here. Chicago, obviously.
Play him twice and everything's going to happen.
Well, yeah, and I think it's like Chicago. It's like a team that I think when you look at teams that had interesting off seasons, Chicago had a hell of an off season. It's just like a hell of a year, right? As far as optics for that franchise. So I think it's interesting that everything happens like against Chicago because I wonder like I think at home like I think people like in Chicago are going to be just happy hockey's back and
Yeah.
are going to watch the Hawks in Chicago because that's their team, right? I just wonder, and I probably not, and I'm probably thinking out loud here and being dumb, but I just wonder if maybe the Hawks don't draw as well on the road because of some of the optical issues that franchise has gone through. But then again,
Yeah, it's been a moment.
again, it's probably wishful thinking on my part.
Well, I mean, Alden coming in saying Jumbo shouldn't have sold that beautiful Los Gatos real estate. Yeah, I would agree. That is beautiful homestead, but you know what? Maybe, I don't know, some of those rooms aren't going to get used like they would have a few years ago because the kids are, I don't know, leaving the nest. But, dude, to see Jumbo come back and chill in the Bay Area, dude, I think it would be great.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just until he announces retirement, I'm waiting for the Patrick Marleau thing to happen all over again.
Oh, sure. Sure. Well, so, yeah, but how do you do that when Mike Greer has literally like signed everybody who doesn't have a contract yet, except for Joe Thornton?
I don't know.
Yikes!
I agreed. Agree. I don't know, but like it just until he says he's hanging him up, like it makes me nervous. And I love Joe Thornton, but like Joe Thornton at this point is like the dude's had a run, but like he's 43 this year.
Easy.
Like no.
Yeah. So Jumbo's back in the Bay Area. We'll see what turns out of that. We mentioned Marleau earlier. His number will be retired February 25th versus Chicago. Again, Toronto would have been better, but either way, the Sharks finally retiring a number. It seemed like the obvious number to retire, but Ian, is this... I don't want to say the start of a domino effect. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want this to begin like, well, now we have to do Thornton. Well, of course you have to do Thornton. But after that, you know what I mean? Like, there's two key players that the Sharks have ever had, and it's Marleau and it's Thornton. I'm just worried this might start a domino effect because we see people, screaming from the mountaintops, Nolan, Rachie, Irbe,
Sure.
blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, There are two guys that have earned this honor, and one of them's getting it.
I would disagree. I would say there's one guy that's earned the honor.
Just Marleau?
Just Marleau.
You don't think?
Yeah,
Thornton?
I mean, I love Joe Thornton, but like Joe Thornton, like Patrick Marleau played pretty much his entire career here, and when he left, it wasn't that he chose to leave. Like there was no money left for him; he had to go.
Is that
right?
the case, though? Is that the case?
I think so.
It sounded very much kind of like he wanted. It was almost like Pavelski. He wanted 3 years, and the Sharks were like, "We'll give you 2."
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that would have been the smart play there. Like, I don't really begrudge Patrick Marleau. Like, at some point, you had to start chipping away at that core. You couldn't keep everyone locked up until they were 40 and hope to God that they would win a cup. Right?
Wrong.
Like, I don't begrudge Marleau for moving on. I don't think, like, look at, could he have stayed for the right amount of money? Maybe, but I think it was the right time for him to move on.
Yes.
When he moved on.
Perhaps later than he should have.
Perhaps. So I don't begrudge him moving on. Like, other than that, I mean, the guy has, the guy is Mr. Shark. Like, when you think the San Jose Sharks, you think Patrick Marleau. Like, that's just the way, like, it's always going to be that way. For me, anyway. And when I look at a guy like Marleau, like, if someone else wore his number, like that, this is the test for me, right? Like, if someone else wears a number, are you going to be upset about it? I'd be annoyed if someone else wore Patrick Marleau's number.
Would you be upset if someone wore 19 again?
No.
Really?
Nope.
I mean, he changed the face of the franchise.
He did. Don't get me wrong, like, for sure. But I wouldn't begrudge someone else wearing the number.
All right. We're throwing it up in the poll. Should Thornton's 19 be retired? We'll see what happens. So besides Marleau, we have Doug Wilson being honored. He will be honored with a banner on, the second game. Obviously, opening night at San Jose. We're not going to talk about everything's going on in Prague. Opening night in San Jose will be versus the Carolina Hurricanes and Brent Burns. But the following night, Doug Wilson's going to be honored with a handout banner, and there's going to be a banner that goes up in the rafters. I mean, it does make sense. From what I understand, an event was actually planned for last April, but health issues derailed that plan, and that's fine. It's what happens. On the books, it does say that Doug Wilson will attend this, so hopefully that is a sign that Doug Wilson's health issues, whatever they may be, are doing better.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be interested to see. Like, you would hope he's going to come out and drop the ceremonial puck and all of those things.
Yeah, it would be nice. Like, say what you will about Doug Wilson, the general manager. It would be nice to see Doug Wilson, the guy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it'd just be nice to see, like, just to see that I don't know what his health situation is, obviously, and no one's really seen much of him since he's like not even stepped down from the role as GM, but when he let Joe Will take over before the official move was made. I don't remember the last time anyone has seen Doug Wilson. So obviously I think that just to see the man and just hope to see that he's okay would be nice. But I mean, I don't know if that's the case or not.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Speaking of Doug Wilson, Mike Greer over the last week or so had some interesting quotes. He did the Teal for Change podcast. One of the things that kind of stuck out for me was he said, my dad told me when I turned pro, don't read the newspapers. One day you're the best player in the league. The next day you're the worst. And whether it's the papers, social media, whatever other outside opinions, Greer said he does his best to avoid it. He said, I try to stay off all that stuff. I just want to do the best job I can. And I think myself and the Shark staff, we believe we'll get to where we want to go through with our hard work and our desire to do well. Interesting enough, Wilson was kind of, I don't want to say a 180 from that, but was very much kind of in tune to what the fans were saying. And he was very much kind of, I would prefer passion and criticism versus apathy. So I thought Greer's comments, let's be honest, dude. We all have our detractors, if you will. I don't want to call them haters because I think that's a cheap and lazy word, but there are detractors.
Yes.
But there's still something to be said for the fan base. I mean, this is ultimately the group you're trying to sell tickets to.
I mean, would you want to read my snarky shit every day? I wouldn't.
No.
If it was targeted at me, like I wouldn't want to read my own Twitter feed if it was targeted at me. I don't blame him. I don't know. I mean, I get where he's coming from, and I get what he's saying. Because I think, there already is. I mean, there's a lot of questioning, like a lot of the signings and a lot of the current direction without really seeing what the end looks like, right? Because again, like Mike Greer has given us more than Doug Wilson. Like Doug Wilson would just come out at the start of the season, say a bunch of words, but not actually say anything at all.
Platitudes. Yeah.
Right. And whereas Mike Greer kind of, he's been more direct, and I think he's been, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, I think he's been more transparent in what he wants to do, but there's still some topics where, he hasn't really said, okay, look at, like this is going to be a blank year project. It's just a step forward to take a step, or a step back to take a step forward again, basically.
Which is what Doug Wilson said in 2015.
For sure. Yeah. That when Doug Wilson actually said something that mattered. So it's interesting. So obviously I think there's a lot of things that are going through. You move out a fan favorite in a player like Brent Burns. Obviously there's going to be blowback to stuff like that. And I think sometimes you have to just tune out the blowback and kind of do what your vision dictates. So I don't really have an issue with him. I just, it'll be interesting. Like I said, I've said all summer, I think this season's going to be interesting because by the end of it, I think we'll get a pretty good idea of what direction the Sharks are going under Mike Grier.
Yeah, I will say that when the change was made to Mike Grier very early on with a couple of the quick moves, I was very much kind of, I don't see what the roadmap is. But as we've progressed, kind of like, all right, the clouds are parting a little bit. I'm starting to understand where they want to go now.
Mhm.
Do I agree so far with what the moves are? A couple things yay, a couple things nay, but
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. Let's hit the chat real quick here. Alex Beltran saying, I was annoyed when someone else other than Nolan wore 11. I'm assuming he's referring to Marcel Gotch, but I don't think his number should be retired. And that brings me to the point of, should the Sharks consider a Ring of Honor? Where you can honor some players, but you don't retire their numbers. You just put their name with their number up in some sort of ring or some sort of fashion where you recognize their contributions to the team, but you're not retiring their numbers. You're not making the huge to do about it.
Yeah, and I'm fine with like a Ring of Honor or whatever. Like that stuff doesn't bother me. I think that doesn't offend me. I think when you do something like that, you can make it a lot bigger and you can include a lot of fan favorites that maybe don't, would normally not get their number retired because they weren't here long enough to warrant it, or you could include Nolan in that too,
yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Well, 6 years, but Urbe was here for like 2,
like,
right?
Come on. Yeah, 6 years seems like an eternity in today's NHL, but
yes.
Really,
no,
I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely maybe it opens the door to the Sharks doing something more. A lot of fans. It's Nolan, it's Nabby, it's Urbe, it's Ricci. Shit. People have mentioned Pavelski. People have mentioned Couture after both of them finally hang him up. So we'll see what happens. Let's move on to a few other things. Again, this is a very early Pucknologist just to kind of wrap up what's happened over the summer. The Sharks are getting a new 4K scoreboard, and I can tell you it's huge. It's huge. Single wrap.
Looks big. I've seen pictures. It looks ginormous.
Dude, it is so huge. It's the base of it is almost blue line to blue line. There's one halo instead of 3, and that one halo is the same size as the 3 put together. It's just massive. It looks like it's going to be fantastic, which kind of goes on to the rebrand, because they're not going to call it a rebuild, but the rebrand from this season. We're going to continue on here because we're going to get to like the big news here in a second. Parking. If you are someone who goes to the tank and parks there, pricing goes from $25 to $30. The South Bar, if you're a fan of that, what used to be called the Juno Bar, then the South Bar is now the Hot Bar. Hopefully that leads to a better selection of beers on tap there. So there have been some small changes, but I would think that the biggest change that everybody is talking about might be what the Sharks are going to wear this coming season. But before we get there, Lanicle, anytime you do a super chat, you get right in. Lanicle saying, keep up the great work, guys. Lanicle, as to you, sir. Thank you very much. We appreciate that donation. We've been able to sit here for a few days and ruminate on it.
Mm-hmm.
There they are. And this is actually, here is what the prognosticators are saying. And based on a couple shots of practice, this is it. That's a lot of teal, Ian. Is it too much? Is it too much?
Yes. Yes, it is.
For the home.
It absolutely is. Yeah. The home, like if you put black pants with that, I think I wouldn't. I don't care about the teal helmet so much and the gloves, whatever. I just think like black pants would be better.
Okay, so let's look at that. Boom. There's black pants. There's black lid. Like, you need that contrast.
Yeah.
When I switch it back to the teal lid and I'm just going, that it just reminds me of football when they would do their color rush uniforms, where like, yeah, make everything one color, and I'm going, it works for one game, 2 games a year, and especially if the other team is kind of doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But for this to be your new thing, and this is what the home, no. It's give me black shorts, give me black mitts, give me black helmet. It much ties together with the black skates. Like, it all ties together much better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't. The sweater itself was great. Like, I love the sweater.
Well,
I don't like the whole kit. It'll be interesting. It's one of those things where I think I'm gonna reserve final judgment until I see them on TV. Like,
yes,
an actual play.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll be whatever, but I don't know. I mean, the sweaters themselves, though, I like.
Well, and our buddy Sharks last going, dude, somebody's going to start calling the Sharks the Smurfs. Well, if it's top to bottom teal. And I get it. Like, it needs to be broken up. Like,
yeah.
You need some contrast.
Yeah, I think so.
But
I agree.
The thing for me that just, God, I look at this and I'm going, okay, there's a lot of fans that sat there and said, hey, you know what? Real happy to see the orange finally be jettisoned. And
yes.
And I'm part of that. But there was somebody who came along and said, well, what if we made those stripes gray in the middle? This is 420 Snipe City, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you, dude, to me, this is the perfect marriage.
Yeah, if you made them, I mean, obviously, if you made them gray, then they're just like, the stripes are just reversed from the originals.
Which does seem to be what they're calling back to. Like, they're, there's trying to be some sort of marriage between today and the beginning of the franchise. And it feels like if you just make those inner stripes gray, you nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with them either way. Like, I do agree. I think, like, the gray would be a nice callback to the original sweater.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, I don't hate the teal either, though. Like, I don't hate them. I like the new sweaters. Like, if these are what they're gonna wear this season, like, I'm fine with it. They've worn worse.
I don't hate it. I just think they could have done better. I think that gray, like, you look at that shot of the jersey on the right,
mm-hmm.
It just, to me, that is the perfect marriage of OG and today.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely, like, I can see that point. Like, I don't disagree. But sometimes you just got to live in the world that we actually live in.
And let's remember, everybody, that Adidas has the contract for this coming season, the season after that, and after that they're done. So it can very well give the Sharks an opportunity to say, okay, let's try for 2 years. Let's see what the impact is. Let's see what the feedback is. And then maybe we make some tweaks. We don't know.
The absent jerk man, but like his picture, like, the Sharks have worn worse.
Oh, third generation, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not a fan of the shoulder yokes for the Sharks. I didn't think they got it right in 07, but that's just me. Great America Theme Park has sold that whole land to a developer. Might the Sharks look into building next to Levi Stadium over there if things go south with the Downtown West development? Brody Brazil, our buddy, he just did a video about everything that's going to happen with BART coming to downtown San Jose and how they're going to have to dig up Santa Clara and all the new changes to the Diridon station, all of these things. Maybe it does get to a point like 2 years in, because they're saying this won't be finished at least 2030. And
mm-hmm.
that's BART saying that, which to me goes, oh, okay, 2035. maybe we get a couple years and the Sharks just go, okay, we hoped for the best and it's now the worst. Maybe we need to start looking outside the box. Could be an interesting idea or at least an option.
Who's going to pay for it?
Oh, Hasso's got all the money.
Yeah. yeah. I'm sure he does, but is he going to fund a new arena out of his own pocket? I doubt it.
Yeah, I can't believe it. So, yeah, Adidas not seeking to renew their NHL uniform and apparel deal after the 23-24 season. The league says the NHL and Adidas partnership features some innovative moments, such as the memorable Team North America jerseys at the World Cup. Those line...
I love those, yeah.
As did I, especially Team Canada. I really like those. I know there were some Canadians that were like, worst ever, but I liked them. A line of, obviously, the reverse retro jerseys, streetwear-influenced remix of the NHL sweaters and logos and blah, blah, blah. Adidas also emphasized promotion of individual players. You had stars like Connor McDavid signed to exclusive deals. Brent Burns was. But sources told ESPN that players were going to, those deals were going to expire.
Mm-hmm.
And so who would you like to see producing NHL jerseys going forward? There's a laundry list. There's CCM, there's Nike, there's even potentially Under Armour. And you have to remember that Nike already does the other big three, and CCM does the AHL.
Yeah, I mean, CCM always did good stuff. I think CCM always does.
I feel, dude, I'm right there with you.
Are they going to shell out the money to do that, though? I don't know. My money would probably be on Nike.
Yeah, I think that's where you put the smart money. I hope it's CCM.
For sure. Like, don't get me wrong. If CCM started making was the actual maker of NHL sweaters again, I think it would be fantastic. I just think that when you look at but who's gonna shell out the money? Like, it's Nike, isn't it?
You would think, which seems to be backed by Fanatics at this point, or is at least in bed.
Yeah, I think it's probably again. Wish lists, CCM, but if I had to put my money somewhere, it's probably on Nike because, like you said, they already have distribution with the other sports. So,
well, and if they do it like they did with the second generation jersey for a couple years, Nike had that deal, and you had the shimmer sleeves for the second generation Sharks jerseys. Mm-hmm. I loved those. So if they can at least spit out that same type of quality, I'm down with it. But if they're going to, be Fanatics quality, which is obviously highly intermittent, makes you go, yikes.
Yeah. Brandon Tucker in chat asking about Bauer. I don't know if Bauer wants are they in the sweater game though? Like, would they get in the sweater game? I don't know.
Well, and Coho is done, right?
That's a blast from the past. Right? I think so.
Yeah, I just feel like it's like Nike, CCM, maybe Under Armour, but as we stated, Nike already owns the other three, so that's probably what it's going to be. So could be good, could be not so much. Reverse Retro 2.0 scheduled to drop in November. From what I understand, expect Adidas to manufacture hype and interest like they did last time with a bunch of teaser videos and images, and then they'll finally drop at some point, I don't know, hopefully around Thanksgiving. Rumor is the Sharks will be based on the Seals. This was essentially kind of confirmed with a silly-ass leak from Fanatics because Fanatics gonna fanatic. Published a ton of images that were essentially confirmed. God, what a clown show. Either way, to the surprise of no one, almost a month ago, they leaked everything. What do you think about the Seals? I liked the gray second generation. You can see Jerk wearing it in the shot that we have right now.
Yeah, see, I hated our. I don't like our last reverse retros. So
really,
look at the Seals. No, I didn't. I didn't
now
like
why?
them at all.
Why?
Yeah,
do you not like gray?
Black. Yeah, just too much gray. The gray, I didn't like the gray. I didn't like the teal numbers, and yeah.
If it was black, if you flip the black and the gray, you're good.
Oh, perfect. buy that in a
See,
heartbeat.
dude, I feel the same. But I didn't hate the gray.
I don't know. They didn't do anything for me. Like, as far as the seals goes, like for me, it doesn't do anything for me. But I'm not a Bay Area guy, right? So like, I don't really like. I'm a Sharks fan. I don't really care about other Bay Area teams.
See, I am a Bay Area guy, and I don't care about the seals at all.
Like, I think it's fine. I think it's good. I think there's people that are obviously like I pretty positive reaction to it on my Twitter feed anyway from the Sharks fans that I follow. So I mean, for them, I'm happy. I'm excited. But for me, it doesn't really do anything. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's not super floating my boat, but I'm kind of like, hey, you know what? There's a whole different group of fans that are kind of juiced about it. I'm like, okay, do you? Hey, you know, it's one jersey I don't need to buy.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. I'm, you know, let's see what happens when it comes out, but just based on.
I think for some people they're gonna really dig it. Like, I think I like the old Seals logo. Like, whatever logo they use or whatever. Like, I'm totally fine with it. I think it's cool. Like, am I gonna run out and buy one? No, it does nothing for me. But I think it's great. Like, I think for, like I said, for the people that dig it, I think it's gonna be awesome. But for me, I don't care.
Yeah, well, it makes me wonder if the success of the Nordiques Colorado Avalanche reverse retro, was
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, you ask anybody and they're going to say that was their favorite reverse retro. Other people will sit there and point at the Carolina Hurricanes doing the Whalers reverse retro.
Oh yeah, that was good too.
You know, and then
Minnesota
doing the North Star colors.
But those teams, like when I started watching hockey, those were all teams for me, right? Whereas the Gold Seals were before my time.
Exactly. So, but I wonder if because of the popularity of Minnesota, Carolina, and Colorado, they said, "Yeah, let's do that kind of a throwback."
And I think it's smart because I think it's gonna be a sweater that I think will end up being probably a lot more popular than the first reverse retros.
For the Sharks?
For the Sharks, yeah.
Okay. I think it could be 50-50.
I think they'll do better.
All right, because I know there's a lot
because people love nostalgia.
They love nostalgia, but not a lot of people like ward marks, and the Seals is going to be a ward mark. So
yeah, I mean, we'll see what the final product looks like.
All right.
We'll see.
Mitchell and Ness and the NHL evidently are teaming up for a premium lifestyle apparel and headwear partnership. Fanatics owns Mitchell and Ness now, just like they own sportsmemorabilia.com, steinersports.com. Follow Fanatics Sucks on Twitter. You don't forget that.
Yeah.
The Barracuda released 3 new jerseys over the summer. Blackout, which is a charitable nod to the Stealth. I'm trying to be nice. With the vertical nameplate that says CUDA. Everybody likes ice. Everybody loves the steel version.
Yes, the steel version is absolute ace.
Yeah, so it's like for all the people that kind of
trying to take my money, it's very unfortunate.
All the people that dump on the gray reverse retro Sharks jersey, they looked at the steel one and they go, "Oh, okay, they got that one right."
Yeah, no, it's just again like I think it works better for. Maybe it's because like maybe if all the other sweaters looked like the steel one as far as like patch placement and everything else, maybe I wouldn't like it so much.
Sure.
But I think for that it works.
Besides that, the Barracuda have found themselves a new coaching staff under John McCarthy. They have a new barn.
Mm-hmm.
They have all sorts of newness. When you see the Sharks putting out all these advertisements saying it's the beginning of a new era, it's kind of interesting the way that everything has kind of converged over this summer, where the Barracuda, new coaching staff, almost kind of new front office. Same thing with the Sharks, new jerseys on both sides. I mean, the Tech CU looks amazing. The only negative thing that I could say, seats are a little like it reminds me that I could drop 10, 20 pounds You know? That's the only. Other than that, it's fucking amazing. It is going to be an incredible barn. I think there's actually, if I remember correctly, I think there's like a running gag where it's like, who's going to score the first goal at Texas U? It's like, is it going to be Coe, Eklund, Bordeleau, who, Gushkin? Who knows? Merkley.
Gushkin's my guy.
See? There you go. But the new Texas U arena, incredible. There's an event coming up this Wednesday for season ticket holders, and this will be when the actual official unveiling of the new Sharks jersey will be made. How pissed off are the Sharks right now that their whole reveal got totally kiboshed?
Well, I mean,
Dude.
Yeah, I mean, don't ship things before you reveal them, I guess. Like, because my understanding is like they're on shelves, right? Like, didn't Puckeye buy them?
Yeah, he bought a home and away.
Like, Puckeye already bought them. Like, I mean, it is what it is at this point. I don't know. I think it's cool that they, maybe they got released a little bit earlier, but like, it seems like people are generally excited by them for the most part. So yeah. I think if they were terrible, then maybe that would be worse. But I don't know. It's definitely the theme of the off season is there's a lot of carts and not a lot of horses in front of them. So very, very apropos for this off season for the Sharks. But yeah, I mean, they're probably a little bit miffed, but if people are buying them, then what do they have to complain about?
Yeah, because they always want to do the big reveal, but there's a part of me that kind of I sit there and go,
sorry, Alex with the Joe Thornton will score the first goal at Texas U.
Nice pull, Alex.
Oh shit, good.
No, but the thing is, it's like I'm not trying to dump on the Sharks, but
no,
historically they have proven a lot of times to be the last dog at the bowl on a lot of these reveals, and at some point it's kind of like, you know what, own it. Like maybe release stuff earlier than you had planned. Like I don't know how many times, I think Puck Guy pointed it out back in 2007 when they shifted to the Edge.
Mm-hmm.
They were the last, like they literally, put it out like a week before preseason started. Well, like it was literally one of the last things when it came to reverse retro. They were one of the last teams to put out their version. They're one of the last teams to put out their promotional schedule. I mean, there's just a lot of times where you can look at the Sharks and go, they're always the last dog to the bowl. So when somebody snipes you, like, yeah, you can be upset that somebody sniped you, but on the other hand, you also have to sit there and go, maybe we need to get this shit out a little earlier. I don't know.
But they didn't make an announcement of an announcement, and that is the company policy.
That is true. So Sharks get New Jersey. So I'm assuming that this season it's going to be, new home, new away. There's going to be a reverse retro, and there's not going to be a stealth. I don't know. From what I'm seeing, a lot of people on the social, many people are saying that it's going to be 3 jerseys this season: new home, new away, reverse retro. Not a 4th. I don't know.
I'm fine. It's not the NBA.
But I'm so happy you made that point. NBA is like at this point going like 5 jerseys a season. There's literally a schedule that was just put out by some NBA team where it's literally, they're not putting out the schedule for like what games are home and what games are away. They put out a jersey schedule. Here's the jerseys we're wearing on these dates, and it's 4. Maybe NHL's a copycat league.
I mean, anything to increase revenue at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that is job one. I think if you're the NHL right now, is try and find ways to increase revenue without alienating your fan base. And I would think that releasing more sweaters is a little more like if you add like if you have like a 4 sweater rotation, I think that's a little more palatable than nonstop sports betting ads, which seems to have um everyone's panties in a bunch. Which like, and don't get me wrong, like I think it's like I understand it's a good revenue stream for the league and everything, and it's fine. I just wish that I could listen to a podcast without like 6 ads for sports betting, right? Like I think it's bad, like, but hey, if you do it responsibly. But if you have a problem with gambling, which some people do, like, is that great for them? Probably not. I don't know, man.
That's the whole thing. There's going to be kids 60 years from now where they're like, hey, you remember those things called podcasts? Let's go listen to one just for shits and giggles, right? And they're going to come back and listen like, man, seems like everybody in the 20s, they really had a problem with gambling.
With gambling.
And with like overgrown pubic hair based on every advertisement.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, the thing is though, is it's like completely off topic. But I mean, like we have the video game machine, which is like totally getting our kids ready to gamble when they're old enough to do it for real.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I'm ready for the point where we have home, away, retro reverse, third, and then, like, it's to the point where you can just, like, I don't know, kind of like, we're just going to switch them up. Like, this year, there's a reverse retro. Next year is a new Sharks third. The year after that, a new reverse retro 3.0. Year after that, a new Sharks third. You know what I mean? And then somewhere in the middle of all that, you say, oh, by the way, we're going to put a rotational specialty jersey in there for like 2 games or what.
It doesn't. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't, that wouldn't, and it wouldn't even bother me. Like, because eventually, like at some point I'd be like, okay, look, if it's good, I'll buy it. If it's not, it's not. Like, whatever. It doesn't really, again, I think with everything that we've been through over the past 2 years, like obviously the NHL needs to get all the revenue streams kicking at high gear because eventually want the cap to go up.
Yeah, absolutely. But the Oregon Ducks football team, I think they play like, I don't know, 14 games a season and they wear 18 different jerseys. Figure that out. You know what I mean? It's
as long as it doesn't, like, don't get me wrong, like I love the American Hockey League and I love some of the sweaters they do down there, but like the NHL can't do that.
Well, I mean 82 games. I mean, like I said, you got the NBA doing a whole jersey schedule, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're doing it where it's essentially they're going to play 82 games, and it's like here's 12 in this, here's 12 in this, here's 12 in this, here's 12 in this, and then the remaining, we're kind of going to dick off a little bit and do whatever we want. But I don't know. It's all about the cha-ching.
Oh, absolutely.
So again, Labor Day weekend saw the leak of the jerseys. The funny thing, of course, for me, it's like, okay, yeah, the jerseys leaked. It was the worst kept secret ever. The fact that these jerseys were leaked by the same exact shop that leaked the Heritage jerseys back in 2015. I don't know if it's about learning a lesson. I don't know. I just figure at this point that shop is never going to get jerseys again until everything is already out, and then like a week later, then they'll get their supply.
I don't know. I mean, if people are buying them, I mean, that's all that matters again at the end of the day. I don't know. I mean, again, I think it's really weird to have them hit the shelves before whatever, but like, again, I don't think it's
not the first time.
Huge deal. No, I don't think it's a huge deal. I think if you're the Sharks, you're probably a little miffed.
Of course. Anytime, something, comes out before you wanted to, yeah, you're miffed. But this goes back to, and I said it a couple days ago when Eric and I were on here because he actually purchased both jerseys. We showed him off. But my point was, look, you go to a Dick's Sporting Goods on Sunday, February, whatever, at the end of the Super Bowl. There are 2 massive stacks of boxes in their storeroom. And one says, if this team wins, open it. If this team wins, open this one. And then if that team doesn't win, send it back. And it goes to, Somalia, Africa, wherever. You've all seen the memes. where it's like, hey, new whatever shirts from that loser is dropping, next week. So anytime it comes down to a championship thing where it's Game 7 of World Series, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup or whatever, that's why you can go to Dick's Sporting Goods at 9 o'clock at night after the game is over and immediately get the shirt or the hat that says champions, blah, blah, blah. Shit is pre-shipped. It just comes down to, I guess, these boxes weren't marked correctly. It happens.
I don't know.
Well, speaking of jerseys, what do you think of a lot of the advertisements on the the upper right have been released? And I looked at Washington, I look at Arizona, I look at Vegas, and I go, I don't hate it. I still think jerseys should be sacrilegious, but
yeah,
it's not obnoxious. But then
no, it's not. But like it's you always fear the slippery slope, right?
Mm-hmm.
You always fear like this is where it starts and where does it go from here? Like I don't know why. But like I thought like I saw like the Golden Knights, I thought theirs was really good. I don't know why I keep dick riding the Golden Knights. I don't like this team. I think
Arizona's
the
I
way
thought was very clean.
Yeah, Arizona again, another team where I think if you're gonna do it properly, and I think both of those teams do it properly.
You know who didn't do it properly?
It.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, is that fugly?
Yeah, I don't like it. I'm never gonna like it. I'm never gonna be a guy who's gonna come on here and be like, oh, we need more ads on jerseys. Like I hate it. But it is what it is. Like obviously, again, when you go through what we went through the past couple of years, where you had nobody filling arenas, and you have players with super massive escrow payments to pay back so we can get the salary cap back up. Unfortunately, there's things you have to do to try and increase those revenue streams. And unfortunately, this is a necessary evil, in my opinion. But it doesn't mean I like it. I would never advocate for this. I understand it as a necessary evil. And if you're going to do it. I would rather you do it like some of these teams have done it, where it kind of just blends into the sweater.
Yeah, like you said, like Vegas, Arizona. I think even Washington. I think those blend very well. But that Minnesota one just is like a beacon in the dead of night.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm never gonna say this is good, but if it has to happen, do it like that. And unfortunately, look at again, I don't live in the world I want. I live in the world that is, unfortunately.
Well, remains to see what the Sharks are going to do, of course. But it's going to be it's fun to see how this is going to play out with those advertisement patches in the upper right, because there's a whole lot of people that sit there and go, oh, come on, if it helps increase the salary cap, who cares? Which on that aspect, of course, I kind of
go,
and
I
you want the revenue to come up, but there's another group
where does
of
it
people.
End? But what
where
if
does
you
it
put
win?
Two sweaters. What if you put two patches on the sweater,
dude,
to increase revenue? And what if you put if two's okay, how about three? And if three's okay, how that and then you look like you're.
It's a never-ending, It's a
never-ending. And then you look
slope.
like your European sweater. And look I'm not here again.
Well, doesn't Detroit put their C on that side?
Yeah, but you can put it on the other side. It's not a big deal.
Oh, I know, but you know what I'm saying. It's like, and then what happens when it goes to the playoffs and you get to the final, and it's like that's where the Stanley Cup patch goes. What are we going to do now?
Yeah. I mean, you make it work, right? I don't like it, and I understand the reasoning, but at the same time you don't, because it's like oh well, that one patch isn't offensive. What about two patch? What if we put a sticker on the helmet?
Yeah,
which you've already done. What if we start putting logos on the pants? Like it doesn't take long before you're ending up like.
I wouldn't mind the pants. Like I said, jerseys I think should be sacrilegious. My point is though. But
it's where does it stop? Where does it end?
It's where does it stop? But there's also been people that have sat there that are trying to be protagonist about it and say, oh, give me a fucking break. It helps the cap go up, and 5-6 games in, you're not even going to notice it, which to me, as a business person, I try to look at it from that perspective, and I go, well, wait a minute. Why am I spending all these hundreds of thousands of dollars on advertisements that nobody's going to notice? But we'll see what happens. Darius, Thank you so much for your super chat, sir.
Yeah.
Says, thoughts on the new scoreboard? Are there any updates on it so far? You all rock. Go Sharks. Hey, thank you so much, Darius. The scoreboard, it's coming together. I'm hoping to get an update this coming week. Jonathan Becker at Jay Becker on the Twitter. He's doing pics from here and there. But I will tell you, seeing it, the photos do not do it justice. As somebody who has been inside of the arena, standing on the floor with that board like 10 feet from me, it's like staring at the Empire State Building. This thing is ginormous. So I think everybody is going to lose their minds over this board. It looks, if you can go or look at TechCU, it's a similar scoreboard where it does the full wraparound. It's just so much goddamn bigger. And like I said earlier at the beginning of the show, has a massive halo. So this is, it's going to be really cool. But when you look at the pictures that like Becker is sharing, I think the Sharks might be sharing. Yeah, you see like the little panels and everything like that. It doesn't really give you a sense of what this board can do. It's all about the computer programming that's going to go into it. That's what's going to be the thing that just blows the noodle. I'm saying it. So, hopefully, Darius, I answered a little bit of your question. With that, I think we're just about wrapping this up. Again, we just kind of wanted to wrap up some happenings that occurred over the summer, whether it's Jumbo returning, we got Marlowe being honored, Wilson being honored, the Mike Greer, David Quinn, and Jonathan Becker will be doing a Q&A this Wednesday at TechCU. I'm sure we're going to have, follow us on Twitter at TealTownUSA. We're going to have some quotes from that. I'm sure all of our buddies, the beat writers, Shang and Casey or Corey? Corey, right? I don't understand why I can't remember that guy's name. But I don't get it. Corey, Shang, Shalana. Oh, happy birthday, Shalana. Shalana Goldman.
Shalana.
Yeah, happy birthday today. So, yeah, there's going to be quotes akimbo all over the place. Again, Sharks' new scoreboard. This is a full-blown rebrand. The way that they're doing this, Ian, I'm going to tell you this right now, dude. I feel because it takes 18 to 20, 24 months for a new jersey, right? There's so much that goes into it. All the different designs, and you have to decide on it. Then you have to put out a few prototypes and touch them and go, okay, no, we got to change this. There's a lot that goes into it. So that's easily 2 years ago. Then the scoreboard was a couple years ago. It's just slightly comical to me that this is all converged, where it's like new front office, new coach, new jerseys, new scoreboard. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. Dude, new era, up top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think this franchise desperately needed a new coat of paint, and it's definitely going to get that. Obviously, look at it, it's going to be an interesting season. Like this season, I don't think we're all going into it thinking, man, I wonder how low in the standings they'll finish for how good of a draft pick they'll get. More than, oh man, I hope they win the cup this year. So obviously it's a colossal work in progress, but it's, for better or worse, it's definitely a new era for the team. New management, new look in the coaching staff, new look at on the AHL level in multiple ways. So it's year zero for the new San Jose Sharks, and it's going to be interesting to see what the future brings. But it's definitely, this is not your Sharks of a couple of years ago, 4 years ago anymore.
Not at all. Let's hit a couple more questions in the chat before we dump. From our good buddy Chester Chivo, thoughts on recent signings: Svechnikov, PTO of Harrington.
I like the synergy. I've said this multiple times this summer, so you'll have to forgive me. I do like the synergy of having 3 third lines. As far as Harrington, I mean, it's an interesting PTO. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. I think defense is The one place that I think the Barracuda are probably going to have problems this year is on their blue line. I don't think their blue line is as it doesn't excite me as much as the forward group should excite me this year, as much as the goaltendings excite me. So it'll be interesting to see if Harrington's a guy that can stick around and play bottom pair minutes and beat out other guys. It'll be interesting to see who's up and who's down as far as the defensemen go on this team.
Yeah, it's like that could be the Achilles heel of the Barracuda. AO, another longtime friend of the show. How do you think Kane's case will pan out? San Jose still on the hook. I got to be honest, dude. I think at this point, well, there's two things. In my mind, first off, I'm going, how the fuck is it taking this long? Like, this is so
if this
stupid.
wouldn't like if this was Boston, like
Chicago,
if this was the Boston Bruins, this is done.
Yeah, Chicago, New York. This would have been done eons ago. Like last June, it would have been completed.
Like, I think if you know, because I don't think, like, as far as like the owners go, right? Like, I think Hasso Plattner is a more like Gary Bettman guy. Like, he leans definitely way more owner than like if we had a lockout and there was Hawks and Duffs, like Hasso Plattner is absolutely a Hawk in that situation.
Yep.
But I don't think he's in. And I could be wrong, but I don't believe he's in that like Jeremy Jacobs inner circle of the front office. And I feel like if it was one of those teams, like an Illich or a Jeremy Jacobs, like, this is done.
Yeah.
I just, the fact that it's not, like, it's embarrassing at this point. I understood early on when it's like, yeah, okay, look at you know, like, these guys, you pay them a lot of money and you work on their schedule. But this, like, that was in the middle of July. It's September and we still don't have an outcome to this.
Not even
it's going to be fascinating.
Not even a date. You know, they can sit there and go, oh, okay. I mean, because we saw that at one point where it's like, oh, you know, coming up this Sunday, you know, Edmonton is off, and this gives an opportunity for, you know, Evander Kane to talk to the voices at will in New York, and blah, blah, blah. And it lasted for a day, and then that was it. And we haven't heard anything since. Yeah,
and here's the other problem too, right? Like, and I've said, we've answered this a lot. I don't think Evander Kane's winning this thing. Now, let's just, for argument's sake, say he does, and they decide, the arbitrator decides.
Hold on. When you say winning this, what do you mean by that?
Either the Sharks, in my opinion, now again, if you want to go absolute chaos, it would be like the arbitrator deciding that, you know, okay, no, Evander Kane's contract's still good and he's a Shark, which I don't think would happen. Yeah. All I think would happen is that the San Jose Sharks would end up owing him the money that they left, that he would still have on the table, and he would stay in Edmonton. But so let's say that's the way they decide this, right? And then San Jose's on the hook for wait, let me finish.
Okay.
So San Jose's hit for that money, and there's no reduction in cap or whatever, and this puts the Sharks over the salary cap. The Sharks can't play games if they're over the salary cap. So says the CBA. Like, the fact that the NHL would allow this to even be a potential thing that could happen. Like, September. How are the Sharks going to get under the cap in the middle of the season? Like, are they just going to have to be like, hey, Logan Couture for future considerations, where's he going?
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I mean, the fact that the NHL would allow this to be a possibility. Now, obviously, they feel confident that the Sharks are going to win this as much as the Sharks feel confident they're going to win this. Yeah. But if they don't, like, it's going to make the league look so clown car, and more than it already does on a regular basis.
I'm just puzzled how this hasn't reached a settlement by this point. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And how is it that the NHL has one arbitrator? Which is essentially what they've stated. That's like, we have one and he's busy.
You have one on retainer, right? Like, that's generally how this stuff works.
But that's
like the arbitrator doesn't work for the league. He's just contracted by the league. He's retained by like, he's a lawyer. He's a retainer.
So nonsensical. I mean, we've said this before, I think, but to me, it's, you know what makes everybody happy? You pay Evander Kane, I don't know, 70 cents on the dollar for his deal.
Yeah.
You write him one big fat check. The Sharks aren't penalized cap-wise. They basically say, look, here's a check. We're all done. You go your way. We're going to go our way. It doesn't count against our cap.
No. That's not going to happen. See, no matter what happens, that money has to stay in the NHL isn't letting that money out of the system. The NHL hates money outside of the system. So anything that happens here in favor of Evander Kane is going to affect the cap. There is no way around it.
For the Sharks, you're saying?
For the Sharks, yes. If Evander Kane wins his grievance somehow or another, it is going to affect the Sharks' cap.
Okay, but if it's Evander wins, but if Evander essentially loses
if Evander loses, then the termination stands, and that's it. The Sharks are in the right. They terminated his contract. He has no. That's it. It's over.
But let me ask you this though. So if they terminate that contract though, will Evander still be owed money from the Sharks, or will that be just nope? You fucked up. You violated.
No, if Kane loses, and that's what this is about, right? It's about the money that the Sharks owe him. If Evander Kane loses the arbitration, then he's entitled to nothing, because by the arbitrator deciding that would be that the Sharks had just cause to terminate the contract, and then it's done. It's if Evander Kane wins that things get dicey.
See, and this is where I'm at, where it's just kind of like I'm very much kind of compromised. Let's come to a happy medium where it's like, look, we'll give you some money and you go away, and the Sharks aren't penalized whatsoever cap wise, and we're all happy.
No, if they did come to some sort of settlement, it would be like the Mike Richards thing. There would be cap implications from it, absolutely. And the Sharks aren't. I think if there was going to be if they were going to come to some sort of agreement, it would have been done by now. Obviously it's. The Sharks have dug in their heels. They think that they're in the right here, and Evander Kane is obviously a gambling man, so he's going for double or nothing.
Obviously a gambling man.
So he's going double or nothing.
Yikes! Oh my Lord! So at this point, what do you think? Just outside party, you know nothing. Let's just. I don't know how. Whenever it's actually announced.
Look at the way I look at it is the Sharks in the NHL are run by lawyers. So when the Sharks did this, they went through it with a fine-tooth comb, and they think that they had absolute bulletproof just cause to do it, and they did it.
You would think you're not going to do it unless you think you are absolutely 100% in the right.
Absolutely. So I don't because you don't want to. The last thing that the NHL wants from this is for Evander Kane to win and set precedent, because then it makes precedent. Because then next time that someone gets terminated, it makes it that much harder for them to. It makes it much harder for the team in the NHL to hold that up.
Yes. So, in your layman opinion.
Yes.
If you're going to bet money on it, how do you think it ends?
I think
Sharks get penalized, or Kane is.
No, I think they side with the Sharks. I don't think we would be here if they didn't think that this thing was 100% sewn up. They would never have terminated that contract. So I have to think that the Sharks are going to win this. Now, others might disagree, and that's fine. I mean, again, I'm not. That's just my lame ass opinion.
It just makes me wonder if it's, I don't know, fait accompli either way. It's like, no, the Sharks, they stepped out of bounds, and nope, you got to pay him, and blah 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 blah, and we can come up with a workaround because now he signed with Edmonton. We're not going to send him back.
There's no workaround though. See, and that's the thing. That's the thing people don't there is, unless they come together and come up with their own settlement. There's no workaround. It is all or nothing in this thing. The arbitrator has to decide one thing. Were the Sharks right or wrong? That is it. That's it. That is what the arbitrator is going to do. He's not going to come in and be like, oh, well, he's making this money over here, blah, blah, blah. He's just going to say, Sharks right, Sharks wrong. And then the chips will fall where they may.
Okay, so for shits and giggles, let's say that they say Sharks wrong.
Then Evander Kane's owed $21 million.
But is he back with the Sharks?
That is a sticky thing. I don't think so.
Like, how can he be if he's already got a deal signed with Edmonton? You know, it's like the NHL is kind of screwed in that situation.
It's definitely clown car. I don't think, like, and here's the other thing too, right? Like, how is that good for any party involved? Do you think Evander Kane wants to be a fucking Shark again? Not a fucking chance. Not a fucking chance he wants to come back to San Jose. And you know what I mean? So, like, to me, like, I understand that, like, it's a possibility. It could happen. It just, to me, logically, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's why I just go back to this whole idea of, like, let's just find some common ground. And I know what you're saying, but it would be great.
Either the Sharks owe him money or they don't.
Yeah, it would just be great if they could figure out a way where it's like, okay, we're going to pay off.
Now, let's say Evander Kane wins. Now the NHL after that, like, they could say, okay, so the Sharks owe him his money, right? So Hasso Plattner has to write Evander Kane a check. Now the NHL could turn around and say, okay, look, we're not going to hit you for the remaining. They might break it down like a buyout or something, right? Where you instead of paying him $7 million on the cap for whatever the remainder of his contract was, maybe that's double that or triple that, and the number comes down. But at the end of the day, that's just the cap. At the end of the day, if he wins, then Hasso's writing Kane a check.
Sure. I'm just, as a Sharks fan, of course, I'm still sitting here going, what are the cap implications?
For sure. And we don't know
happens?
Because we don't have and that's the stupidest, that's the dumb part, right?
Especially like, where we're at right now. Dude, like, fucking preseason starts in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we don't have a definitive answer. That's the thing that gets me. But I will say, though, if the Sharks were, I don't know, mildly, like, worried, are they signing all these fucking people? Again,
like, I think they
with
think
no
they,
wiggle
they,
room?
they went into this thinking they have an airtight case.
Yeah, it's no, they got Kane by the balls. It's like, there were stipulations. You broke your contract. You breached it. You fucked up. And so
they think they have an airtight case. So I think the Sharks doing this and not, I would be more disappointed if the Sharks didn't do nothing because this is hanging over their head. It's like, well, if you're not doing things, then why did you terminate the contract if you're not that sure, right? Like, I think the Sharks went about the summer 100% the way they should have, because they are a team that thinks that they are 100% in the right and they're going to win.
That still blows me away that it's taken this long. But anyway.
Yeah.
So I think with that, we can wrap this one up. Show 163. God damn, it feels good to be back. A week from now, we're going to do next Sunday our Pacific Division preview. We're going to be talking about all the teams in the Pacific. Me, Jerk, and Ian. A lot to get into. But we're not going to go as deep divey as Teal Tinted Glasses. It's going to be a little smaller.
Yeah, a little more condensed.
Little more condensed. But we're going to try to cover it all in about, hopefully 90 minutes. But, we all know Jerk can spin a yarn. But Pacific Division preview next Sunday at 7. The week after that, we're going to do a Sharks preview with the one, the only, Brody Brazil. We might even get Ted Ramey and Drew Remenda involved in some stuff. We're not sure yet. We'll find out. But we thank you very much for joining us on this 21st anniversary of September 11th. Hashtag never forget. And
how could you?
Yeah. And it's opening weekend for the foosball, if you're a Adam Sandler fan. Right now, let's see. 2nd and 6, 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Tampa Bay owning Dallas 19-3. How could they not? So there you go. I have no idea what's happening for Monday Night Football. But we will. Are you doing anything this Wednesday for Teal Tinted, or is that done for the year?
No. We have one more Teal Tinted left. It's either going to be Tuesday or Thursday because I work Wednesday, which makes it super tight to get on the air. So it's gonna be Tuesday or Thursday. We're gonna cover the last two teams in the Pacific Division, which is the Battle of Alberta, and then after that, I don't know. After that, I don't know what the plan is after that. Eventually, I think if I have my way and I can nail Kevin Lacey's feet to the floor, we are going to do a Barracuda preview at some point. I'd like to.
Love it.
It's just an issue of just making schedules work. So, but that is, I think, if I can get the Battle of Alberta show done and then the Barracuda preview done, I mean, I'm ecstatic for TTG.
Hell yeah. So that's the plan. everybody. That's the plan. It's all part of the plan. But we've seen how plans fail. We don't know. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. So we'll catch you up with something coming up this week, either Tuesday or Thursday. Remember, Wednesday is an event at TechCU. I just want to say, check your social media about 7 o'clock this Wednesday. You might see something, an official announcement when it comes to the brand new Sharks jerseys. And hopefully they're going to, I don't know, determine if they're going to do black pants, black lid, or teal pants, teal lid, but whatever it is. But there should be an announcement 7:15-ish on Wednesday. Aside from that, we'll catch you all next Sunday for a whole Pacific Division preview, and that will do it. As always, hook us up. Follow us if you don't already. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. If you enjoy the content, you're not here live with us. Again, to those who pulled down that YouTube super chat lever, thank you so much.
Can I answer this quickly?
Oh, whip it out. What are we doing?
Michael says, why TTG on the other Pacific teams not called Get to Know the Enemy? I swear y'all did that for Lockdown. We did. And but it's fine. It's all it's
What happened? What?
So
TTG
used to the Pacific Division preview was the Know Your Enemy series.
Oh,
right?
Did we beat Lockdown? Oh, poor JD.
No, so we could have done it, right? And I could have just kept doing it and whatever. But to me, like, there's so many things in this life that are worth getting upset over, and to me, that wasn't one of them. Like, it's fine. I don't think JD did it intentionally. Like, no. I don't think this is something that JD like was like, oh man, I'm gonna totally fuck with that Ian guy. Fuck that guy. Like, I don't think he did intentionally. Like, it's the logical like name for that type of thing.
Sure.
Right? Like,
no, JD's a good dude.
I am sure that like the Know Your Enemy thing has been like a TGG staple for a long time, but like as with a lot of things on TGG, I probably lifted it from somewhere too. So
there you go. You own Dangle stipends.
Yeah. So it's like it's one of those things where it's like I could have done it and I could have made like a big deal about it, but it's not worth it. I like JD. Like I like JD. I think JD is a good dude. I don't think he did it to spite me, and I just thought, you know what? Whatever. Is it worth fighting about? No, man, just do something different. So there you go.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't an invented thing.
No, and it's like I said, I'm sure it's not something that
wasn't vindictive.
It's something that I lifted from somewhere else, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Or it was like I think the reason why it was like the Green Day song is why.
Oh, there you go. Oh,
that's where it came from for me. It was like the Green Day song.
Michael digging the salad. Toss salad, buddy.
It's crazy. I love it.
So hit us up on all the social media stuff. And with that, we're out of here. Catch us sometime this week, but next Sunday, Pacific Division preview will kind of start our season of getting everything back in order. So Hope you dig it. Maybe we're on the Discord. Maybe we're doing a Twitter space here and there. I don't know. But check us out there. That's where you can find us. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend for NFL opening weekend. Enjoy the rest of the game. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we will see you all later this week. Good night, everybody.